Watch the Powerball drawing live tonight here on TV23. Covering the High Plains with news, weather, and information. From TV23 Studios in Sublette, this is High Plains Today.
Hi, everybody. Hey, it's Hump Day. It's Wednesday, January 6, 2016. Welcome to High Plains Today on TV23. On today's show, I'm going to be joined by Matt Durler. He is the Vice President of Marketing for C&W Commodities. We're going to talk about ethanol and all kinds of stuff. Now let's take a look at some of the stuff that's happening out there. An accident in Finney County yesterday, shortly before 6 p.m., claimed the life of a 28-year-old Coulter Berry from Scott City. Now, the wreck occurred on US 83, 10 miles south of the US 50 intersection. Kansas Highway Patrol reports a semi swerved to avoid a collision with another vehicle that had either slowed down or had stopped and ran head-on into the northbound car driven by Berry. Now, Berry was declared dead at the scene. On January 4th at about 10:25 p.m., the Dodge City Police Department was notified by Western Plains Hospital that they had a shooting victim walk into the emergency room. Upon the officers' arrival, they met with the victim, 26-year-old Diana Medina Canejo of Dodge City. Now, the victim had a gunshot wound to her arm. She was later transferred to a Wichita hospital for further treatment. Now, at this time, the investigation continues into what's going on there. A 42-year-old Lawrence Burton has made his first appearance in Seward County District Court and was charged with alleged first-degree murder in the December 21st death of 46-year-old Guy Terry. Now, early Saturday morning, December 21st, a homicide was reported at 207 West 6th in Liberal. Responding officers were directed inside the residence by a witness. The witness stated his brother had been stabbed and the suspect was still in the residence. Officers entered the residence and apprehended Burton. Investigators learned both men were residents of the home. An argument ensued that then turned physical. A preliminary hearing has been postponed for one of two men accused in the April 19th shooting death of a Garden City man. 33-year-old Jeffrey Rigdon is charged with first-degree murder in the shooting death of Carlton Wachter. A preliminary hearing had been scheduled for Monday in Finney County District Court, but Rigdon's attorney, Douglas Spencer, requested the postponement to have more time to prepare. Prosecution told District Judge Robert Frederick that his office was okay with the postponement. And the Ford County Commission decided to table an English-only language policy that would affect its employees. The policy states since many of our citizens and most of our employees only are able to speak, write, and understand the English language, all county employees must have English proficiency. According to the policy, English would be used for all county work-related matters. Whenever they are engaged in county business, unless the citizens or others with whom employees are doing business on behalf of the county are not English proficient. Now, the policy stops short of requiring non-working time, such as work breaks and meal periods, as English-only periods. And finally, one of Hamilton County's deputies went to get a few items for lunch yesterday at a grocery store, and as the deputy went to the vehicle to retrieve his cash, when he returned, someone who wished to remain anonymous paid for the items. A real nice gesture and a note along with it. That's a nice deal right there. Everybody should do that more often. And that's a look at some of the stuff that's happening out there. Going to be back with somewhat, maybe a little snowy, but it's going to get cold forecast after this.
You're watching High Plains Today on TV23 with host Chris Jewell. TV23's internet service and 4G live streaming provided by United Wireless. Coverage you deserve. Service you expect. United Wireless.
You want to feel connected, at one with your world. Informed, included, and inspired. So no matter where you are, when important things happen, we're here at all hours, in the moment, on every screen in your life. Your local TV and radio broadcasters. We investigate and inform, give back to the community, build the local economy, even save lives. America's #1 source for news, weather, and information. And unlike any other news source, we're here. 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 And here. We are broadcasters, always here for you, wherever here may be. Text TV to 52886. Tell Washington local stations matter.
So, I'm kind of new here, but I've noticed a trend. My human does this funny thing where she goes around and gets all my toys, and then she hides them in that basket by the door. You know, but it's always the same basket, and it's always in the same place. And then she acts so surprised when I find them, but, you know, she's putting them in the same basket. Again. It's like, hello? That's where you put it last time. You were the worst at hide and go seek.
Something I feel when I'm right here. Something that tells me that I'm home. This is the place. Everybody here knows it. This is the place. Oh, it's home to me and you. Yeah, this is the place.
Now, the local weather forecast for the High Plains.
And we're looking at Highway 50 west of Ingalls. We're looking off to the east. They got a little cloud cover and little fog that rolled through here at the studios a little earlier too, but it's gone now. Looking at our readings here at the station, 40 degrees, 67% relative humidity. Winds are calm. Barometric pressure holding steady. Let's look at the current temperatures around the region. Everybody is in the 30s and 40s. Look at that. Perryton already up to 48 degrees, as well as Elkhart. That's not too bad. Looking at our current dew points, you can tell now the dew points are pretty close to the temperatures. That's why the humidity seems like it's a little more wet out there, especially after that fog bank rolled through here a little earlier. Looking at our current winds, everybody's pretty much out of the west, southwest. You get out here, there is a slight chance of snow coming in, so there is a front out here to the west that's heading this way. That's why you've got winds out of the west, northwest. Everybody else looking out of the south and southwest. Not a lot of winds. Perryton, pretty much the windy spot at 15. Looking at our highs and lows as recorded at the Garden City Regional Airport yesterday, 46. It did get up to 46 yesterday, but there was a lot of wind. 75 was the record in 1956. 24 was the overnight low, minus 13 back in 1974. Yow, you would have needed a coat that day. No new precipitation in the bucket. As we look at our forecast for today, 48 degrees, lots of sunshine. Winds are going to be out of the west, southwest at 8 miles an hour. That is not too bad. Tonight, though, here it comes. 34 for our overnight low, 30% chance of precipitation. Winds are going to switch around to the southeast at 8 miles an hour. Tomorrow, we still have that 30% chance of rain hanging around, a high of 43. Winds will be switching around to the north-northwest at 13. And then tomorrow night, there is a 30% chance of that rain switching over to a snow, sleety mix. 27 for the low, mostly cloudy. Winds will still be out of the north-northwest at 11. As we look at the 7-day, you can see there we are. Pretty much going to start cooling off. Winter is coming calling starting this weekend. We get highs in the 20s. I don't like that. 12 for an overnight low. Going to have to bundle up. But we do have some sunshine trying to creep in first part of next week. That's a look at the weather. Stick around. Be back with the markets and Mr. Matt Durler after this.
So, same time next week?
Well, of course. Put away a few bucks, feel like $1 million. For free tips to help you save, go to Feed the Pig.
For those dealing with the daily struggles of caring for a loved one, we hear you. That's why AARP created a community with experts and other caregivers to help us better care for ourselves and the ones we love.
Something I feel when I'm right here. Something that tells me that I'm home. This is the place. Everybody here knows it. This is the place. Oh, it's home to me and you. Yeah, this is the place.
Hi, I'm Chris Jewell, host of High Plains Today, a 30-minute news and information program that airs at noon weekdays right here on TV23. Hey, do you think you have an idea for something that would make a great segment? Somebody that would make a great interview? What about a community event that needs highlighting? Let us know here at the station. Email us news@kdgltv.com.
This is the place.
A boy born in Joplin, Missouri was fascinated by anything with wheels and a motor. The odds of him going on to fascinate millions with his talent? 1 in 260,000. The odds of this born racer having 157 career top 10 finishes in NASCAR? 1 in 125 billion. The odds of him winning both the Daytona 500 and the Brickyard 400 in the same year? 1 in 195 million. The odds of a child being diagnosed with autism? 1 in 88. I'm NASCAR driver Jamie McMurray, and my niece has autism. Learn more at autismspeaks.org/signs.
Did you know kids who play outdoors have healthier lungs?
Totally.
Did you know that boys that play with dolls make better husbands?
My son has lots of dolls.
But did you know terry cloth diapers breathe better?
I did.
It's totally true.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Did you guys know statistically friendly kids have more friends?
Yeah.
That's obvious.
Did you know most people think they're using the right car seat for their kid, but they're not?
Parents who really know it all know for sure that their child is in the right seat. Visit safercar.gov/the right seat to make sure your child is protected.
And welcome back. Now joined by Matt Durler. He is the Vice President of Marketing for C&W Commodities, and he lives in Liberal, Kansas, but I'm not going to hold that against him. How are you, my friend?
Doing well. Good to see you, Chris.
I haven't seen you for a while.
It has been a little while.
Happy birthday yesterday.
Thanks. I wish you wouldn't be advertising that. I've been starting to look like you.
I was going to say, this is a very distinguished hairstyle, and you should be proud if you ever get it. How are things in the commodities world these days?
You know, things have been a little tough. Obviously, we're $70 cheaper on crude oil and $40 cheaper in fat cattle and $4 a bushel cheaper in the grains than we were 18 months ago. But, you know, things are all right.
That's quite a big difference, isn't it?
Yeah, we've seen a historic drop in commodity values, a lot of it due to production in terms of what we've done in crude oil. You know, we raised so much production at the same time that we just overdid it to some degree. In the other commodities, we drove corn prices, cattle prices higher because of the drought we went through 2 years ago. And now as production's come back with a strong dollar, it's really kind of mitigated that.
Okay. Well, let's go back to ethanol for a minute because, let's talk about ethanol prices as compared to what oil and gas prices are doing right now.
Sure. As we've seen crude oil come off, of course, RBOB, or unleaded gasoline at the pump, falls at the same time. And with ethanol being an additive into gasoline, it pairs very closely with it. Ethanol, at times we have overproduction, we'll need to price in as an energy with unleaded gasoline. At times we get tighter, we price in as an octane, but always a cheaper version of octane, I guess, in that regard.
Okay, but a better source of octane, right? Or
sure.
not?
Well, sure. The cheapest source of octane for sure, and by far the cleanest source of octane. As ethanol's come to prominence, they've been able to use things like toluene and xylene that now go into plastics. And you go back 20 years or to your grade school days.
Wow!
Well,
it'd be hard today.
The MTBE, which was a carcinogen and still used in places like China today. And ethanol has a large potential to replace those as a cleaner octane source as we look to move for cleaner, more efficient fuels.
So what do you see long term for ethanol? I mean, with the oil and gas industry and where it's going now?
I think long term, well, to this point, a lot of the conversation about ethanol has been in combat with unleaded gasoline or with crude oil. And really, it's how do they work together. Ethanol is 113 octane, so it provides a lot of octane to your 87 octane you see at the pump or the 84 blend stock they're using with it. So long term, it's how's that marriage of ethanol and crude oil or unleaded work together as we move towards more efficient cars. And also in some of these other countries, how do we produce cleaner fuels by replacing MTBE with a safe, relatively cost-effective alternative in ethanol.
So how do you get these other countries and auto manufacturers, to build these engines to where they can handle a higher octane with ethanol?
I think for the auto manufacturer, it all comes to availability of a fuel source. To this point, the standard fuel in the United States has been 87 octane. So until we would move that to a 90, regardless of the inputs in it, Detroit really can't build a motor that's built to harness the extra octane and be more efficient. In these other countries, I think a lot of it's about supply and demand and price. We saw a lot of growth in ethanol demand in the Middle East, actually, in 2014.
Really?
So much of their economy, though, is based upon oil price.
Yeah.
That as oil prices have fallen, they've kind of hunkered down the hatches and wanted to use as much of their domestic production as they can. But they have tremendous benefit to ethanol as well, in that it can cheapen up their octane source, clean it up, and give them more alternatives. The same things the domestic blenders and refiners have learned.
All right. So now that we're talking oil and gas, and we've kind of gone through ethanol, how does this tie in now? Because cattle and the hog prices and the grain prices have all just been on the skids here for a while. Now, how does all that affect that?
Sure. With crude coming down, ethanol's obviously come down with it. Trading $1.40 a gallon, a little less than $1.40 a gallon today. With that, though, we've seen a dramatic reduction in corn price as well that allows us to operate around equilibrium today, or a break even. Cattle prices have come to dramatic pressure in the last 3 or 4 months. Really preceded by hogs and chickens, though, that historically cheap grain makes cheap pigs, makes cheap chickens, and in time...
Well, true, because you don't have that long a time to market, et cetera, with hogs and chickens as you do.
They can increase their production so dramatically in a short period of time, and with that, the supply and demand dynamics pressure that. Well, what we're seeing now is cheap pigs and chickens have put enough pressure from a competitive protein standpoint on cattle prices that it's kind of underpinning demand. With some of the catastrophe we've seen in West Texas and eastern New Mexico here lately, in terms of the massive snowstorm we saw there, a lot of animals died, a lot of production pulled off the market, both from the dairy and the cattle side. It kind of underpinned demand here lately and gave us a little reprieve from a really ugly situation in December in terms of cattle and milk prices both.
Yeah, there was a lot of milk that didn't make it to market when that storm came through, wasn't there?
Sure, and even now, these animals have been through that weather, really suffer to regain that production as they kind of went through this dramatic event.
Okay, so we talk about the cattle prices and how they're trying to compete with hogs and poultry and those things. you know, where are we at in the cattle market? I mean, are guys at break even? Are we below break even on raising cattle into feedlots? I mean, the number of cattle on feed, I mean, is it up or down?
You know, in the cycle where we see cattle prices back off as much, fed cattle prices down even today, $30 a hundred from where they'd been 5 or 6 months ago, the unhedged cattle are having some significant losses cash to cash, maybe as much as $600 or $700 a head a couple weeks ago.
Wow.
That's been pared significantly as feeder cattle have come down with it, and grain has come down to where the cattle they're buying today will up somewhere around a break even, assuming good feed conditions. Longer term, though, you know, we're building a herd and really struggling to grow the export demand. And we need to find more ways to grow exports. At the same time, we have a very strong dollar, which I think has underpinned a lot of the weakness you've seen in the commodity markets. Historic low in the euro yesterday versus the dollar. The peso's fallen some 80% versus the dollar in the last 12 months. So it makes us expensive in the world markets, and that's where you're seeing a lot of the pressure.
So that really hurts the export. That hurts the export market.
Sure. Whether we're talking about beef, poultry, pork, grains, ethanol, the whole deal. We're just expensive in the world market because of the strength of our domestic dollar.
Wow. Okay, so and let's face it, in this part of the world, I mean, you can throw a rock and hit a feed yard. Are the number of cattle on feed, is that up, down, staying pretty steady, or where's it at?
You know, over where we'd been a couple of years ago, for sure, over this summer, we're back up. I think what you'll see in the next couple of months is head count here locally probably surge a little as the guys in further south of us are really just kind of trying to batten down the hatches and get through the remnants of this storm, lower head count to where they can manage their pens. It's a tough situation down there. With the local corn and milo this year, our basis has come back into line and gives us some competitive advantage to the local feeders. And long term, you know, I have to feel pretty good about the cattle feeders in southwest Kansas and ethanol here as well.
What about the grain prices right now? I mean, do you see anything coming back on, you know, like corn and soybeans and milo, or are we going to stay pretty steady? Are we going to fall some more? What do you think?
I've been a little surprised by this last break we've seen in the grain values. It seemed like we were pretty range bound for about 60 days. Demand is struggling. We need to get some exports going. That's a big piece of this. See how little basis upticks the last couple of days, which makes me think that demand is picking up. But you know, historically, when you have big production years like this, it takes a drought to really turn those around. You don't seem to be able to grow demand fast enough to offset the big production. And to that end, I think you stay in this kind of range bound for the next couple of years, really.
Wow. Okay, so you see things, I mean, things aren't going to just pick right up. I mean, especially with a strong dollar from an export standpoint. I mean, nobody's going to want to pay those premium prices for American products, right?
Yeah, I think any significant rally you see in the grain markets right now will probably be sold, as even looking at 2016 corn, just because we do have some challenges in building demand. If you saw the Dees futures trade back into that 425 to 440 range, I think you'd see a tremendous amount of farmers selling at a level where they could probably be profitable, as you've seen some of the fertilizer inputs come down.
Good year? Is this going to be a rough year, easy year?
It's going to be a tough year.
Tough year?
Going to be a tough year.
All right. Come back and see me sometime. Keep me updated on this, will you?
I'll do. Happy to be here.
All right. Thanks, Matt. Stick around. I'll be back with more right after this.
You want to feel connected, at one with your world. Informed, included, and inspired. So no matter where you are, when important things happen, we're here at all hours in the moment, on every screen in your life. Your local TV and radio broadcasters. We investigate and inform, give back to the community, build the local economy, even save lives. America's #1 source for news, weather, and information. And unlike any other news source, we're here, 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 and here. We are broadcasters, always here for you, wherever here may be. Text TV to 52886. Tell Washington local stations matter.
And welcome back. Hey, let's look at some sports. When LSU concluded non-conference play with 5 losses against some suspect competition, it was clear that the Tigers were going to have to accomplish something special in the SEC to shed their underachiever label and avoid missing the NCAA tournament. I don't know if they've done that yet or not, but they took a big step toward that goal last night in Baton Rouge when they followed up a road win at Vanderbilt by toppling the SEC's most storied program. They clobbered Kentucky 85-67. That game was not even close, folks. Oklahoma's Buddy Hield was still wringing wet after a 3-overtime thriller against KU, longest game ever played in the long, storied history of Allen Fieldhouse, when he flashed a brilliant smile and said, "I can't wait for the rematch." Neither can anybody else. The first 1-2 matchup in their league since the Sooners and Jayhawks met 26 years ago in the Big 8 tournament not only lived up to the expectations, it exceeded a lot of them. That Buddy Hield is a shooter, too. And the Hall of Fame, Baseball Hall of Fame, is going to introduce tonight its class that is going to be eligible to be voted in. We'll see how that comes up. We'll see if any of those steroid guys like Clemens and Bonds and those people are on the ballot. Oh, and Alex Gordon, here's some good news. Signed $72 million 4-year contract. He'll be back in Kansas City in Royals blue. And let's take one last look at our weather. It is 43 degrees out there right now. Relative humidity is 58%. Winds are calm. Barometric pressure is holding steady. Yeah, I know. There's some stuff on there we don't really want to see. Got a little precipitation rolling in here maybe tonight. A little snow on Thursday and Friday. It is going to cool off come this weekend. 29 and 24 for highs on Saturday and Sunday, but sun's going to come out next week. Hey, go out and make it a great Wednesday, everybody. We'll see you back here tomorrow. Adam Jewell will be talking movies tomorrow.
The latest information from TV23 on our Facebook page, KDGL TV.
Hi, Chris Jewell, host of High Plains Today, a 30-minute news and information program that airs weekdays at noon right here on TV23. We talk about news, we talk about sports, we talk about weather, we're even going to talk entertainment. We'll have live guests right here on set with me. So, every day at noon, tune in, High Plains Today. We'll see you then.
Weekdays here on TV23.
When you throw away money on wasted electricity, you're throwing away everything you could have bought with it. Saving energy saves you money. Learn more at energysavers.gov.
Something I feel when I'm right here. Something that tells me that I'm home. This is the place. Everybody here knows it. This is the place. Oh, it's home to me and you. Yeah, this is the place.
Traditional light bulbs actually generate 9 times more heat than light. Switch to Energy Star light bulbs, and you'll realize just how much cash you were really burning through. Saving energy saves you money. Learn more at Energy